Hello and welcome to the One People Show.
Hello and welcome everyone to this week's One People Roundtable. Stop laughing. Not funny. Something has become apparent to us over the last few weeks. Ever since we put out that sort of impromptu
what the fuck Amber Alert video. Yeah.
There's a whole slew of new people, possibly in the thousands, who are now tuning into the show every week. And these are people who...
Definitely in the thousands.
These are people who the Mandela effect has been their trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just kind of waking up and then they tune into these shows each week and they're not able to follow what we're really talking about because we often make references to things that we've been talking about for years and they don't know what we're on about. We're talking about people who are just kind of waking up.
The moment of the illusion shattering has been triggered by a Mandela effect, something in their own personal life, something they've seen, read about, etc., then they've gone down that rabbit hole before any other rabbit hole, which I can't even imagine. I actually feel really, really bad for all of you who've woken up to the reality of what the fuck is going on in this world by falling down the Mandela effect rabbit hole, because that is what we call one of the most shocking waking moments. It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So today we are going to attempt, and we know that we cannot do it justice in 2 hours by any means because, I mean, together we've got 30 years, 40 years of research. and we stand on the research, the 20, 40 years of research of many, many other people. So where do you go? If this is good morning, wakey time for you, and where do you go? Now, a couple of words of warning, to be honest.
Yes.
Waking up is hard to do. And
really? You're going to song cue me this early in the show?
You are going to go through these stages of grief. You will go through anger. You will go through denial. You will go through rage. You will go through feeling like you are going out of your mind. You will get depressed. You will, depending on how you've spent your life up to this point, possibly feel like it was a complete waste of time and a sham. We've all been there too.
Yep.
Somewhere down the line there will be acceptance. Don't be too hard on yourself. We've all been there.
Every one of us has been there. Every one of us has been there.
Because what you're about to learn is that everything you have been told is a lie.
Everything. Everything you were taught in school. Everything that every politician has ever said. Every lie the media has told.
Every conspiracy theory you've ever heard is probably true.
And they were set up as conspiracy theories. First of all, let's talk about that term. Conspiracy theory was a program that was planted by the media, by government talking heads, to basically deride anyone from paying attention. It was a term that was created so you could go, it's just a conspiracy theory. Therefore, you can't possibly follow it because if you don't, A, you're not normal. Rational thinking people would never, ever follow a conspiracy theory. They wouldn't even research that conspiracy theory because it's so irrational. It's so outlandish. You just don't want to have anything to do with it. So.
There is a great quote, which I'm going to completely bastardize and paraphrase, and I can't even tell you who it's from anymore. But it basically says that when you want to lie to people, you tell them a lie that is so big and so far removed from the truth that if they were ever to discover the truth, it would be so outrageous and so far removed from what they know that the cognitive dissonance, essentially, would be so great, they just couldn't entertain it.
They couldn't possibly think that lie could be truth, or that truth could be anything other than a lie.
So it doesn't matter which topic you want to pick, whether it's history
of the world, it's all
religion,
lie.
politics,
All a lie. All a lie.
economics,
All a lie.
law,
All a lie.
government. Anybody else want to throw some stuff out there? If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie. Oh.
Okay, stop posting. Lisa's trying to read something in the chat. There we go.
The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, and/or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus, by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Joseph
Goebbels. Do you get it? Do you know who Goebbels is? First homework assignment for today. Go look up who Joseph Goebbels was and what he said. Go look up 5 of his most famous quotes, and you're going to have a thud moment right there.
World War II, World War One, in fact, all wars. All wars.
All lie.
All wars. There are some. We try to think about how to sort of introduce and tiptoe, and you can't. You basically have to get thrown into the deep end, unfortunately. But what we have tried to do is compile a couple of books, videos, websites that we know will be great starting points. There are many, many rabbit holes. Most of them will lead you in circles, for starters. They are dead ends. There is a lot, even within the truth movement, there are a lot of lies. And disinformation,
planted, deliberate disinformation is done all the time, especially within the truth movement, because it became very, very clear that in order to control the truth, you got to lie about it. So they set up, a lot of people have been set up to be truthers or alternative media, and yet they are perpetuating more lies or more distractions.
Here's another Goebbels quote, though. There will come a day when all the lies will collapse under their own weight and the truth will triumph again. Now, the thing is about all of these quotes is we have no idea what context they were said in.
No.
And that first quote is credited to him, but we don't know whether he was talking about himself, the Nazi regime,
or Winston Churchill.
Yeah, we don't know.
So, we should backtrack. I'll give you the hint on your first homework assignment. Goebbels was Hitler's publicist. He was Hitler's propaganda man, Hitler's media marketing man, if you will. So yeah, who was he talking about? Was he talking about himself? Was he talking about Winston Churchill, who we know lied his fucking ass off through the entire prelude into the Second World War and through? Where to start?
We can save you a lot of time because we have gone down many roads that led nowhere or round and round in circles. Oh God, years worth.
The circles we've run in, let me tell you.
Many, many rabbit holes, yes. And I guess for those that some of this stuff is going to be scary, even terrifying, but it doesn't need to be. But I was just
going to say, and your brain, your logic brain that has been programmed with the lies, will reject everything that we're going to be telling you, or a good portion of it. It will reject outright most of the information we're going to put out here.
But you've got a couple of things going in your favour.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care how asleep people are, they all seem to inherently know deep down something is seriously wrong.
It's fucked.
There's just something upside down and back to front. And that's exactly actually how it is.
Everything is
This reality is an inverted version of how we are supposed to be living. They've turned everything upside down and back to front and inverted the lot. And use that little radar you've got.
Go back to that little piece, that little voice that's been telling you for years, this doesn't make sense. This can't be right. How can things be this way? How can the world be this fucked up? How can governments be this fucked up? How can life be this unfair? Just go back to that little voice while you're going through this information.
Now, even though there'll be interviews, there'll be websites, there'll be movies, there'll be things that we recommend, I'm not, personally at least, I'm not then recommending you go and research that person's work necessarily. No. It might just be that they put out one piece that is well done and a reasonably accurate representation of what's going on.
It gives you a jump-off point.
Yeah.
None of this, okay, I'm going to go into my usual, here we go. We don't have the answers. No one has the answers. Anyone who tells you they have the answers is a bullshitter. So, we don't have the answers. We can give you some great jump-off points of where you can go do your own research. Don't believe us. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to do your own research. Pull out the work. Do the stuff. Go to the library. Use the internet, go do the research. That's all this is a research assignment because we don't have the answers. No one can tell you with absolute fact what the fuck is going on. But we can point out what we know isn't going on. We can point out the stuff that we know didn't happen or is definitely a complete fucking lie.
So a couple of good starting off points would be, your homework for today.
Your homework for today.
Like we said, it doesn't matter what area of society that you want to look at. They're all based on fraud. Right? Everything. Yes, your governments all around the world are not organic governments as you are told, as what you are as presented. They are all private corporations with shareholders, and the shareholders are the same little bunch of people, no matter which government we're talking about. Okay?
Yep. The American government.
You are an asset.
The American government. We just got to jump this one in here because this is fully easy to look up, and I've got a lot of stuff. I've been spent this morning pulling up old articles of mine that I've written, and I will publish a massive list of those things as well. Give people jump-off points. The American government is a not-for-profit religious corporation, privately owned. That is 100% proved. It's not even questionable, and they're in default. Yes, but we're not even going to go into that, Lotus. We're not even going to get into that yet. The American government, U.S. government, is a privately owned corporation that is a not-for-profit religious organization. And therein is one of the first and biggest rabbit holes that people need to foundationally understand.
It is not the people's government.
It is not the people's government. And it never has been. This is one of the biggest things that a lot of people need to understand too. It never has been.
The idea that you're going to go back to a republic?
America's never been a republic. Ever.
It was a for-profit corporation from the very beginning.
Yes. Set up in England. It is owned and operated by the City of London, thereby controlled by the Vatican. All of these pieces, I know, blow your brain out, they're factual. This is stuff that you can go in and you can follow the paper trail. In this house, we have been tracing this paper trail to the minutiae for months now. And that's every global government. Every world government is a corporation, privately held.
Where is the best, in your opinion, the best place to go to research that particular aspect of it?
Well, I'm going to put up the papers. I've got the actual screenshots that prove that the American government, I have all the paperwork that proves the American government is a non-profit or religious organization. So I will put the link in there so you can go see it. I can pull it up right now if you want. I've even got it open.
I mean, you don't, and I wouldn't even recommend it actually, have to go and research this down to the nth degree and figure out how it all happened. Just get yourself to a point where you go, okay, that is the way it is, because you'll spend the rest of your life doing this otherwise, and there's more important things to do. Just get yourself to the point where you can acknowledge to yourself, okay, that is how it is. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then move on. Don't tie yourself up in knots over the fucking paperwork and the paper trail and who did what to who.
It can be very, very easy, trust me, we know, to get caught up in one piece and following that rabbit hole in spiral circles, up, down, inside out, and backwards, to the exclusion of everything else. It's very easy to do that. And you're going to do it anyways on certain points if you're actually serious about researching what's going on. But if you can kind of try and maintain an equilibrium and look at it as a whole, instead of diving down the specific rabbit holes for this moment, it will actually help you in the end.
There was, for example, 5 or 6 black US presidents prior to Obama, which apparently most Americans don't know about and you don't learn about at school.
Obama was not the first black president. And this is something that you can look up very easily online. George Washington was also not the first American president. There were 13, I thought it was 17 presidents before Washington, but the 13, someone's just put in there's 13 presidents before Washington, and 5 of those presidents, I believe, were black. So the construct,
the racial discrepancy and the racism and the class system and everything that goes on in America wasn't there prior to the Civil War. It was a manufactured creation post the Civil War.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, let's not even go down that road because that was so fucking huge. We didn't even contribute. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, so here, look, basic facts. Okay, because we speak to a very broad American audience, so I want to just run through a couple of real basic facts. So, every central bank in the world, barring 2 now, there's only 3.
Iran?
There's only 3 central banks in the world who are not controlled. Every central bank in the world is a privately owned corporation owned by the same people. The Federal Reserve Bank of the United States of America has nothing to do with the American government. It is not under the control of the American government. It is a privately owned corporation that's owned lock, stock, and barrel, just like every other central bank in the world. The only 3 that are not, and there's one I have a question about, is North Korea, Syria, and up until 6 months ago, Iran. But I suspect now that Iran has been bought out. I suspect. I have no proof on it yet. I suspect. The 7 central banks that were freestanding central banks 15 years ago, Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Cuba, North Korea, thank you, Syria,
Iran,
and Iran. What do those have in common? Think it through. Those were the last 7 freestanding, government-owned and operated central banks in the world. And now we only have 2 that we know for sure left, which is North Korea and Syria. The IRS is a corporation. It is owned by Puerto Rico. It is not owned by the United States.
It's registered in Puerto Rico.
Registered in Puerto Rico, pardon me. It is a privately owned corporation. It has nothing to do with the American government. The American government has no oversight over the IRS. The IRS pays all of its monies, all the taxes that you pay in the U.S., and it's not just the U.S., it also goes into Canada, Australia, everyone, gets paid directly to the City of London through the IRS. Puerto Rico's in default right now. With Puerto Rico in default right now, the entire United States of America is in default financially at this moment, which is why at the moment you have some of the biggest charades playing out across everything, across the planet, to keep people completely distracted from what is going on financially at this moment. Let's see, what else do we have? All currencies are owned and operated. They're all fiat currencies. They are baseless. They are valueless. They are created out of thin air by private corporations.
And they're all IOUs.
They are IOUs. They are not money. You pick up your bill, you open up your wallet, you pull out the piece of paper, and you call it money. It is not money. The only legal money in the world is gold and silver. And it says so. If you get pre-1933 dollar bills, American dollar bills, it says so right on the bill. Australian bills say it right now, I think. Old Australian bills are payable. This legal tender is a promissory note payable in gold and silver.
Actually, that's true, because we did a call.
That's right.
We had a guy on who did a call, and he rang the Mint.
The Australian Mint.
He said, I've got these notes, and I'd like to come in and redeem them for gold coin, please. And that was a pretty funny show. I'll have to try and dig that up.
That was funny. We need to find the link to that, because that was a lot of fun, because there's nothing quite like prank calling the Federal Mint of the Australian government and making the guy who answers the phone look like an idiot. He called the Treasury. That's right. He did call the Treasury. It wasn't the Mint. It was the Treasury. Technically, it was the Treasury.
Okay. What else do you want to say about money?
Money is created by banks out of thin air. Money is created based on
your signature, for starters.
Your signature.
Every loan, mortgage, car loan, personal loan, credit card, whatever, is not a loan.
No, there's no such thing as loans.
They created the funds when you signed the application form based on your signature. It didn't exist prior to that. You do not own it. You do not owe anything.
Nope.
Debt is fraud.
All debt, everywhere in the world, is fraud.
We are simplifying things.
Yeah, guys,
grossly.
All of you who are because I could see people in the chat room literally go. Remember, guys, we are giving the Coles Notes or the Cliff Notes version of this in the most extreme shortened form imaginable, and we're doing this as simply as we possibly can. Yes, we will keep the chat. We will make sure the chat goes into this, because there's a lot of information being pumped into the chat as well.
So, as succinctly and simply as possible, the way the system works is your government is a corporation owned by the same people, pretty much, who own the bank, the central bank. The government no longer has the right to print its own money based on its own resources and whatever. It is a corporation using you as an asset of that corporation. It then, what budgets are is essentially, we figure it's going to cost us X number of billions of dollars to run the country for the next year. They then borrow that from the central bank.
Yep.
And the central bank, if I'm borrowing $1 billion to run just coming up with a figure, $1 billion to run the country, I borrow that from the central bank. The central bank then prints the $1 billion. It is then borrowed to the government. It is then put into public circulation through debt, usually, right?
Through debt.
Through loans and whatever. Put into
that don't actually exist.
And then it's up to us to pay the loans back, but all we ever end up paying is the interest on the loans.
Yep.
Because you got to put it this way. If I'm the only way Dee can get money, and she borrows $20 off me, and I charge you 10%, where does that other $2 come from? If she can't get money from anywhere else, how does she pay me back the $20 plus the interest? It doesn't exist. It's not in circulation.
Yep.
So it's this constantly growing bubble of debt that can never be paid. And it's not, and it's
the entire global financial system is a debt-based system, based on debt that doesn't exist, based on loans that never were made, based on money that has no existence. The pieces of paper you have, they're not money. Remember, they are just pieces of paper. They are IOUs. Now, we've got to jump. Birth certificates. Because you got to go into this. As of, is it 1913 when the birth certificates were entered into?
Okay, so here's a bit of research.
Yeah.
Another couple of the things of research.
Yep.
There's a book, and you'll find it on video as well, called The Creature of Jekyll Island.
Yep. And that was a Creature of Jekyll Island is one of the books, and there's this video series, I think.
So this goes into
how it all
the
happened.
meeting that took place in 1913 on Jekyll Island.
In the States.
And who was there, and about implementing the Federal Reserve. Okay. Now, it didn't come into play until 1933. Was it 33?
No, it came into play then, but there's various aspects that came into play.
There was a couple of attempts to get it in that failed.
Oh, there's been multiple. In the U.S., they've been trying to implement the Federal Reserve for 150, 200 years.
But that's a great place to start when it comes to research. So if you haven't done already, please get a pen and paper. I should have said that at the beginning.
It's okay. We'll like I said, there's going to be lots of notes. We will have so much notes. This article, when it comes out attached to this video, is going to be like 4 miles
yeah, and you'll
long.
find there is a connection to the Federal Reserve and the creation of the Federal Reserve and the Titanic.
And the Titanic. Yep. The Titanic was sunk on purpose. And there
all the people who oppose the Federal Reserve,
we're on the Titanic.
We're on the Titanic. We're given, for the most part, free tickets for the maiden voyage.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they just happen to sink it.
Um,
That's just one of them. Like they're in. Let's just blame mine first. Titanic was sunk on purpose.
And if you haven't watched,
not an iceberg.
Again, if you haven't watched these things, write these down. And in this order is what I would recommend too. Zeitgeist 1 and 2.
Movies.
You'll find them on YouTube.
The Thrive movie.
Then Endgame.
Yeah.
Then Thrive. Because Zeitgeist 1 and 2 will go make your head explode and give you angry and everything else. Thrive at the end of it will give you a bit of hope. Okay. But again, this doesn't mean I'm suggesting you then get involved in the Thrive movement.
No.
By any means, or think Foster Gamble is necessarily a good guy.
Nope.
But the Thrive film is another good piece of disclosure and another good educational piece.
It is a great step to you doing your own research. These movies that and books that we're suggesting are for you to use as launch pads to do your own research. If they're not the answer, all they do is open up certain avenues of understanding, of comprehension, and give you a certain, like I said, a base to work from. To start asking. The biggest problem is knowing what questions to ask. And Lisa and I have been there. Because every time you think you've got it, 6 months later, something else comes out and you realize, holy shit, I didn't even remotely have it. It's so much bigger than what I thought. Knowing what questions to ask is the hardest part of this.
But again, I don't think it's necessary anymore, and I don't recommend you now go and spend the next 10, 15 years doing what we've done for the last 10, 15 years. I don't think it's necessary. I think you just need to get yourself to a point where you are open to questioning everything, to understanding and accepting, which is hard, that you've been lied to about everything, that nothing is as it seems. And because we are where we are right now, we are in this unique, I think, transitional phase. What we're transitioning into is still a huge question. Because even the New Age movement
is all bullshit.
Is a big psyop.
It's a psyop.
Okay, it was a deliberate net that was cast to catch all the people who were walking away from all the religions.
They needed a new religion. They needed a new religion to capture these people back in again. And that's exactly what they did. They created a new religion. They created the New Age movement. And it is just as much a religious psyop as anything else. Someone's got their video on, and I can't see who it is. Someone has their video on. If you could turn it off, please. So this happens sometimes, occasionally. I know a couple people were freaked out when it happened in the last recording that someone ended up their video camera flipped on. It just happens. Our audience is live. They're actually with us at the moment live. So if they were all to turn their cameras on, you'd have a shite load of people all coming in. No, and this is the whole thing. We're in a place right now where the biggest comprehension is to comprehend that you must question everything. And I mean everything.
You don't own your house.
No. Even if you've paid for it.
Even if you think you've paid off your mortgage and you've got the title in your hand, you don't own your house. You never will. Or your car.
Or your
anything
land.
that you've registered, anything that's registered,
you
titled.
You do not own your children.
You don't even own your children.
Okay? The birth certificates, you've probably heard people talk about the straw man. Okay, the straw man is absolutely factual. 100% true. When you registered your children, when they were born, a straw man, a corporate entity was created in your child's name.
And yours.
And your name. And that corporate entity is how they use to create money, to create debt. Every ticket, this traffic summons that they've written is written to your straw man, not to you.
If you want to go down that road, there's a few things you can look at, but ultimately the evidence is have a look at everything that you get in the mail from a corporation. Your name is in all caps in some form or another. All corporations are in all capitals.
Yep.
Your driver's license is in all caps. Your birth certificate is in all caps.
Your tax forms.
Your tax forms, your cards, your banking cards, credit cards, debit cards. These are all in uppercase. That is how you denote a corporation. That is also how you denote your level of your status in terms of freedom or slavery. It was slaves way back whose names were written in all caps. And when your full name is in all capitals, I never remember how to say this, Maximus Diminutia or Diminutia? I can't remember how it is. Basically, it means that's the maximum loss of rights and privileges.
Yeah.
You are a slave when your name is completely all in all caps. Sometimes it's just your surname. So it's maximum and minimum, and there's 3 stages.
Yeah. But basically, yes, your child does not belong to you. The moment you sign over a birth certificate and you register the child.
That's why there are things like child protection services who can just walk into your home and
take your child, because you don't own your child. You don't.
You have got the privilege.
You have the privilege of
looking after them,
raising them,
taking care of them.
As long as you follow the law, their rules as they perceive them to be. But in actual fact, no. The moment you sign that birth certificate, they are signed over to the state. They become a part of the state.
And you don't own your house, which is why even if it's a $2 million home, if you don't pay your local taxes, your council rates,
they can take your house.
They can take your house because that's your rent. You are paying rent. And if you don't pay your rent, you get evicted. It's as simple as that. You don't own your car.
Income tax.
You gifted it to them when you registered it.
That's right.
And now you've got the privilege of
driving it,
maintaining it.
And paying.
And if you park it where they don't want you to park it, they can just take it off you.
But just take it off you, which is why they could just tow your vehicle. Income tax in the U.S., totally voluntary.
Same here in Australia.
Same in Canada, completely voluntary. I know this is a shock to everyone because the IRS acts like, the mafia. because they kind of are. But it is voluntary. There are clips of senators in Congress as witnesses stating that personal income tax is completely voluntary.
And if you still think that, well, we've got to pay our taxes because that's what goes to pay for our infrastructure and our schooling and our... No, it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't go anywhere near any of that shit.
No. Nope.
No, it doesn't.
It does not. It funds the war state, though. All wars, every war, if you go back for at least 400 years anyway, at least 400 years, and we'll get into that in a second. Okay, all wars are bankers' wars. Every war has been started by the bankers or the money lenders or basically the 1% of the 1% who own all the money as a war to gather up more money. The biggest money-making venture they can do is have a war. The First World War, the Second World War, everything you've been told about those wars, how they started, why they started, who was good, who was bad. Yeah, it's all bullshit. Bullshit. Every war has been started. Every war in this century has been a false flag event. Every war in this century, or in the last century, has been a false flag event.
What is it really used for? You mean income tax? It pays the interest on the loans.
It pays the interest on the loans, that's all. The loans that the bankers made under the guise of the Federal Reserve and printing money that has got no value.
There's a lot to be said about the financial fraud.
We can't even go into it.
God, I mean, people are still trying to unravel how it really, really works. Whether it's trust law, whether it's corporate law, whether it's maritime law, and they all...
UCC law, canon law.
They all play a part.
They do.
It's no one of those things solely, although trust law does appear to be at the heart of it all.
Yes, that's our current rabbit hole that we're down right now.
Don't get depressed. There is a light at the end of all of this,
yeah.
Which is what I was kind of getting to before about this particular time.
There's a reason.
2012 wasn't just a blockbuster movie by Hollywood. There is a lot of ancient prophecy, indigenous prophecy, from all over the world about a transition. There are a lot of different ways you can look at it. You know, in India they had the yugas. You know, the Mayan calendar. There's so many things. The New Age movement has some truth in it, of course. Otherwise, we would never have gone there.
They all have little pieces of truth because that's how you get people to believe it. Let's back up though. Let's not.
I just don't want people getting too depressed right now. There's a couple of people who are going, "Oh my god."
Oh my god. Okay, I get it. We are giving you the basic points. This is not about fear porn, okay? This is so not about fear porn. The only way you move outside of the fear is to know.
Because if you've just woken up thanks to the Mandela effect, you can't go back to sleep now.
You can't.
I'm sorry.
It won't happen.
You can't unknow what you now know. So you either stand where you're standing in a state of confusion or you move forward. And the only way to move forward is to start looking at some of this stuff and start accepting some of this stuff. It's going to come, I believe, we're at a point in time where you're not going to have a choice anyway, right?
Yeah.
More and more is being revealed all the time. We are in a process of transparency. All these lies are being revealed. Even if you want to close your eyes and ears to this, you're not going to be able to for long. It's going to smack us all in the face at some point. Just like the Mandela effect, as we talked about last week, is starting to get personal. People have been woken up against their will almost because they've had to confront some aspect of the system. Because of the financial crisis, perhaps in 2008, put them in a situation where they were losing their home, and in the process of trying to save their home, this whole mortgage fraud
played out
to them, and they went, oh my God. For some people, it was 9/11 that woke them up. That led them, that is a huge opening.
I want to address this. Elizabeth just said, when you two woke up to this stuff, did it ultimately scare you? And I'm going to say this, for me personally, no. Because people like Lisa and I, we did not have the rude awakening that most of you people have had. For us, this has been a process. For me, this has been 20 years. This has been 20 years of a piece. And just when you get that little piece, another piece. And then when you get that piece, another piece. And
we had the luxury of being able to integrate this over a period of
long periods of time. For me, my area, I've been a political activist for years and years for infant and maternal health. So I have been fighting the governments about breastfeeding laws, about childbirth, about infant formula, about all of these things. I started with one piece that was personal to me, that I woke up to. Then it went into the next piece, which was vaccines. And then I had the luxury of several years to research vaccines and the background, the history, the who, what, where, why, when, and how. And then from there, it led me to GMOs, genetically modified organisms. And I had several years to go through and work through this. I got to the birth certificate stuff. And I had a year and a half to go through and very slowly integrate this information. For the people who've been doing this, what we're doing right now, for years, we have had the luxury of having years to digest it in very small pieces and be able to pull the dots together in a very smooth, in a lot of ways, coherent way.
Yeah, my heart goes out to you if you've just been trying to pull all this together in the last few weeks or months. It really does. My story is different to Dee's.
Yep.
For as long as I can remember, I maybe yours was political and government. Mine was more spiritual, right? So for as long as I can remember, the world just felt wrong. So every time a little piece of I came across more information or more exposure, it was like, oh, that's why it's like that. That was more of a, oh, that explains it. Because the way it was presented to me didn't make any sense. But then you suddenly find out about the straw man and the bank, the way the banking works and the government's, oh, well, now it all makes sense, of course. So the only thing, did I ever get scared? Yes, I won't say I didn't get scared.
Oh, there have been times. There were moments of just like, this can't be it. This cannot be. I'm multiple. How many times? Even since Lisa and I have been doing these shows, which is like early 2013 is when we started the show. There have been moments where we've literally looked at each other at certain points and gone, "Is it?
It's so sick.
Can it really be this fucked?
So
Can it really be?" Even in the last year, for us, we have had dots expose themselves that have been so big a thud moment that we've sat back and gone, holy fuck, oh my God. Because again, like I said, you get comfortable in it and you think, oh, I've got it worked out now. I got it worked out. I got this all sorted. And then someone throws you a curveball and you go, oh fuck, I so don't have this worked out. So yeah, we read, just so you know, also, we read every comment that comes in on YouTube. May not be able to respond to all of them because one of the last shows, there was like 400 comments on it. We read every one, and this is why we decided to do this show, because there were so many comments, emails coming in, Facebook messages, Skype messages, YouTube messages from people who we realized are just waking up. And Lisa and I have had our own conversations of like, I feel so bad for these people. I feel so, my heart goes out to you guys because I can just imagine how shocking it has to be that your moment of realization comes with one of these Mandela effects, because that's so deep end.
Yeah.
This is the extreme deep end. This is the extreme deep end of the rabbit holes. And there are a lot of people, even within the awake community and the alternative media, who haven't gotten there yet, who haven't even grasped this yet. So if you're just waking up and this is your point of wake up, I'm sorry.
Because what we've talked about so far really is that the 3D structure that we live in isn't as presented.
No.
Right? But the Mandela effect is actually throwing you in the deep end of going, it may not even be a 3D structure you're in.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, like, everything is a lie.
I like that. Hey, I have a big bowl of crazy every morning for breakfast.
Yeah.
And this is the other word of warning, right? Relationships break down over this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Testament to that.
Oh, yeah.
Many, many, many relationships, friendships, marriages, family relationships. And
you cannot wake someone up
if someone doesn't ready, if they're not
ready. Everyone has their trigger point. And this is the one thing we have learned, the hard way. The hard way. Everyone has their own personal trigger. And until a person hits that trigger, there's nothing you can say, for the most part, that can force someone to wake up.
Oh, and Maury's saying we need to define Mandela effect for the viewers of this via YouTube offering, which, okay. So if you don't even know what we mean by Mandela effect, okay.
Okay, and I hate that word. Can I just put this out here? I hate the word Mandela effect.
I'd like to call it the Samuel Jackson effect, actually. Because that guy is in so many movies that reveal pieces.
Yeah.
There's something going on with him. It's the Samuel Jackson effect.
The entire, unfortunately, the entire wording, the entire descriptive of Mandela effect is being co-opted right now. Right now it's being co-opted. And it is being spin-doctored like there is no tomorrow by alternative media, by a lot of people within the alternative media. So can we come up, first of all, homework assignment for all of you guys, all our usual viewers. Let's come up with a new word. We need a new descriptive terminology.
Cotton candy.
The cotton candy effect. I don't think so, guys. So, in a nutshell, the Mandela effect is basically a change in the matrix, if you will. A glitch in the matrix. That is kind of the easiest way I can call it. Is when you had something that you remember as a child or as an adult.
Or last week.
And all of a sudden, what you clearly remember, is now different from what they say it is in the here and now. It can be the name of a TV show, pop culture, a quote from a movie. God knows that has been the biggest.
Or
the Bible, which is the big wake-up point for a lot of Christians in the U.S. right now, is their Bibles are changing, and it's freaking them the fuck out.
The mind-fucked effect.
The mind-fucked effect. That's almost it. And there's a lot of people trying to talk about...
Thomas is gone?
I don't know what the Gospel of Thomas... I know there's a Gospel of Thomas, but it was removed from the Bible 400 years ago. In my reality, the Gospel of Thomas. Okay, so this is it. It's one of the Gnostics. Okay, yeah, exactly. So there's a whole... this is the whole thing from the Gnostic scriptures, and that's what I was going to say. When you have things changing, and this is not a matter of, and those of you who are here because you've experienced it, you know, it's not because you just don't remember or you've forgotten. It is things that you fundamentally know. And now something different is in its place. A different name, a different quote.
There are those who are trying to say that the Mandela effect is nothing but an MK Ultra mind control program.
Oh, but now we have to get an MK Ultra.
So if you don't know what that means,
We'll get there in a second. But here's the thing. Is there a chance that there's some massive blanket MK Ultra mind control program at play? Sure there is. That does not change the fact of the double memories and having memories of a previous, what you knew, versus what they're trying to tell you it is now.
it doesn't explain physical reality changes.
It doesn't explain physical reality changes.
Are we all being subject to MK Ultra and mind control?
Right, so
Yeah.
MK Ultra. MK Ultra was a project that was put together by the American military that looked at and studied and created mind control projects through the use of drugs, through the use of torture, through the use of the splitting of the hemispheres of the brain and creating a split hemisphere in a person's consciousness, that there are two separate people in the brain. One is dormant, that they can trigger at any point in time.
Actually, if you want to watch just a Hollywood version of how that kind of works, there was a movie with Julia Roberts and Mel Gibson called Conspiracy Theory.
Conspiracy Theory, yep. You know what, Nick and I were going to watch that last night.
It's a nice, light
it's a very fluffy movie
version of how that works and how people get triggered. But it's a good intro if you don't want to get, because this subject is very, very dark.
It is.
It's incredibly dark.
If you go down the MK Ultra rabbit hole, or the butterfly, the monarch, butterfly, whatever, monarch, mind control programs.
Men Who Stare at Goats is another one. The guy that is played by George Clooney in that movie is based on a character who is legitimate. His name is, Jeff will tell me.
Jeff will tell me.
This is sort of loosely based on the events that actually took place within the military.
Mm-hmm. Enemy of the State is another movie that Captain America Civil War, with what they do to Captain America's buddy, starts with a B. What's the guy's name? What's the guy's with the arm in the Captain America movies? Come on, Jeff, help me. Bucky. Thank you. One of my kids just walked by and went, Bucky. Okay, Bucky in the Captain America movies is an MK Ultra subject. Basically, how they portray that in the Captain America movies is exactly the kind of shit that is done. It is factual. They have been doing it for decades. This is not conspiracy theory.
Hang on a sec. Jeff, it was the guy that the Jeff Bridges character in Men Who Stare at Goats was based on. Who was that? Manchurian Candidate's another one.
Manchurian Candidate, Jason Bourne series.
If you've got the stomach for it though, and this is hardcore, Kathy O'Brien. If you just look up Kathy O'Brien, she is a whistleblower who went through all of this. But like I said, this is not for the faint of heart.
No, this stuff is brutal. This will give you nightmares. Some of these videos about some of these topics we're talking about are the kind of thing that destroy people.
Yeah.
Like,
so don't go there unless you really feel you need to.
Unless you, on the light, looking through the information, really feel the need to dig into it, MK Ultra stuff, very, very scary. Okay, now, but this is going to lead into, we have to talk about Operation Gladio. Mm-hmm. Okay? Guys, we're jumping back. We'll go back to the whole Mandela effect in a bit, because this is actually foundational to this, understanding this. When I talked about every war has been a banker's war. Every war has been a false flag event. Now, those who have friends on Facebook who post stuff about false flag events, a lot of people don't realize, they think that a false flag event means that it didn't happen. And
or that no one died.
Or that no one died. That is not what a false flag event is. A false flag event is an event that is fully planned out by a government agencies to further a political agenda. It does not mean that innocent people were not massive amount of loss of life, that people weren't killed. That is not what a false flag event means. Now, you want to look up, if you don't believe in false flag events, go look up Operation Gladio. It is fully out there. The CIA have opened their files. There's been multiple files. The former president of Italy fully admitted publicly that Operation Gladio has been carried out on the Italian people by the Italian government. There have been French government people, there have been American government people who have fully outed Operation Gladio as being 100% factual. Every war, every military event that has happened, especially since World War II, was a false flag Operation Gladio event. Every one. Every terrorist attack that has happened has been a false flag Operation Gladio event. Nice, France, false flag event. The coup in Turkey, false flag event. Paris, Brussels, Orlando, Dallas,
Boston,
Sandy Hook School, never even happened. No one even died at the Sandy Hook School. It was literally a drill, never happened. These events have 100% been outed. The FBI alone admits that there was not a single person killed at the Sandy Hook School massacre because it was a drill. It was a false flag event.
and it's government policy.
It is government policy. These things, and they've been outed all over the planet by governments. Governments. And when you realize that 9/11 was a planned attack perpetrated by the Bush administration in cooperation with the Saudis and the Israelis, full proof is out there, my friends. Full proof. Never mind this 28-page report bullshit thing. The proof of it is out there. You go watch movies like Loose Change. Is it one of those good movies that will show you just what a false flag event is?
It looks like Turkey was actually a false flag perpetrated by Erdogan in order to clean house. He wanted to get rid of anybody that was opposing him, and this was the way he did it.
This is how he did it.
But it also might bite him on the ass.
Oh, it's so going to bite him on the ass. We're already watching it play out now. So, when you realize that everything that has been rolled out in the United States since September 11th, 2001, the Patriot Act, the Homeland Security, all of the attacks, all of the wars were started, the FEMA camps have been started by and for this false flag attack, was what they did to create everything that has come out since then.
Ed Dames, Major Ed Dames. That's the guy that, if you watch Men Who Stare at Goats, Jeff Bridges' character is based on a man called Ed Dames. And Ed Dames is still around. He's still out there. He does interviews. He does shows. He's put out books. He's quite a character. He's very much like Jeff Bridges' character. He sounds like
he's a real person.
Still psychedelically enhanced, true hippie left over from the early 70s. He's quite a character. But
we've talked about, if you've been following the shows for the last couple of weeks, how everyone's rewatching Fringe right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Walter
Bishop is pretty much a real character. And if you actually go back and rewatch Fringe, and all the little comments he makes about, well, that was the MK Ultra project that we did in 1973 when we drugged everyone up with LSD. And that's the project that we did back in 1969 when we drugged everyone up and we did this, and then we did psychotropic stuff to get them to split their personalities and stuff. Fringe is a full-on disclosure show, which is why we keep joking about the fact that we keep watching it, because the character portrayed as Walter Bishop, about being hired by the American government and the military to perpetrate all these things, They're all factual. So I put a little list in here. You want to look that up. You've got Operation Gladio, MK Ultra, Operation Northwoods, Operation Mockingbird, Project Paperclip. These are all facts. These are facts that have been fully outed by the American government and agencies within the American government. They're not conspiracy theories.
You will
and when
find
you put them together and realize the implications of, for example, Operation Mockingbird, which was the CIA takeover of all media to perpetrate their agenda globally, when you realize where we are now and what the media has been lying to us about on everything, you realize this is factual. Project Mockingbird, still in effect.
You'll find yourself saying, as we do, on a regular basis, you cannot make this shit
You
up.
can't make this shit up.
And and you probably end up swearing as much as we do. But
if you never swore before in your life, you will once you're done. Trust me.
But it's okay.
Yep.
If do not want to put you guys into a state of fear. If this is all brand new to you, that's not our intention whatsoever.
No.
You don't even have to go and do any of this research. Nope. I'm not saying by any means sit back and just take our word for it, but if you can just do enough to get yourself to that point where you realize that, okay, everything is now up for question, everything is now up for debate, everything is potentially upside down, inverted, back to front to what I have been told. If you can get to that point, and that there is an incredibly ugly side to the satanic, the mind control, the child abuse, the pedophilia, the all of that shit. And
there is an area that you will need a very strong stomach
if you're going to go down.
If you're going to go down that area, there are areas that even I refuse to go.
It's traumatizing
because the trauma is so horrific. It can be a very hard thing to pull out of.
Yeah, and you don't need to go.
You don't need to go down that rabbit hole
unless you are going to personally tackle it.
Yeah,
by outing people, by whatever way you want to tackle it, and then go down that road. But it might be that you've had personal experience with this, with yourself, with your children, with family members, or whatever, and so it's something
that is personal to you that you need to.
Then okay, but unless you need to, just be warned. Maybe you're in a situation right now where you're losing your house, or you've lost your house, or whatever, and so that side of things is kind of pertinent to you right now, and you want to research it. Go. It may be that in your particular industry, maybe you're in the health industry, maybe you're in the pharmaceutical industry, maybe you are somebody who jabs children with vaccines, and you're questioning, or you should be if you're not.
You should be.
Seriously. Then do the research on that. Where's the best place to go? If you haven't seen the Vax documentary, that's obviously a really good place
to start. You have to go see the Vax documentary. I've written shitloads of fucking articles over the last 7 years anyway about vaccines. Vaccines were propagated. The entire vaccine agenda in a short form was put together to destroy, not to save human health. There is absolutely nothing. No vaccine has ever been marketed as safe, has ever been proven to be safe. No vaccine actually works. And this is a very hard one for a lot of people to understand, that the polio vaccine did not stop polio. That
polio is now known as
Guillain-Barré, chronic fatigue,
muscular dystrophy.
No. Isn't that funny? My words have just left me. No.
So what is it then? What's the other one?
There are aspects of cystic fibrosis in polio.
Cystic fibrosis.
Okay. Meningitis. They are all polio.
They just called them.
They're all polio. Things. All they have done is changed the symptoms of polio and created new diseases to hide the fact that the polio vaccine did not cure polio. The introduction of several forms of cancer were done through the polio vaccine. We have the proof. There's 100% proof. They've admitted to it. The fact that they knew that there were cancer cells in those vaccines. Okay? Every vaccine since then, the reason why they're pushing so many vaccines right now is the dumbing down of society, is the crippling of society. We have autism rates that are through the roof. And it's not just autism. Peanut allergies. Peanut allergies were invented when they started using peanut oil as an adjuvant in vaccines. The only country in the world that has almost zero peanut allergies is Israel. That's because they have sesame oil allergies. And in their vaccines, they don't use peanut oil. They use sesame oil. So all their children are allergic to sesame. So all the children that have died from peanut allergies, it is from the vaccines. 100% provable without a shadow of doubt. The vaccines cause autism, 100% provable beyond a shadow of a doubt. That vaccines cause early onset Alzheimer's, hello, my generation, smallpox vaccines, polio vaccines. Massive amounts of aluminum were put in those vaccines. We know factually 100% that aluminum is one of the causes of early onset Alzheimer's. These are just a few pieces. Fluoride. Fluoride does not stop cavities. Fluoride is a mind-numbing drug. It is an emotional numbing drug that has been pumped into the water supply to dumb the public down. Fluoride is one molecule away from Prozac. It is the exact same drug almost. Okay? The use of pharmaceuticals, i.e. antidepressants, same reason. They have been mass prescribed across America to keep the population under control, to control minds, to control emotions. Chemtrails, absolutely 100% factual, as admitted by the United Nations, by American senators, as admitted by NASA, that they are putting these atmospheric spraying into effect. Lithium is being sprayed in your air. It has been admitted to by NASA. Lithium makes you a zombie, an emotional zombie. It makes you not give a fuck. Literally, your house could burn down with all your children inside and you just don't give a shit, because that's what lithium does. So as the entire country around you starts crumbling into mass anarchy, you just don't care, because you just want to sit in front of your television and watch Big Brother or whatever TV show, reality TV show is what's on this week. Watch the football game and ignore the world burning.
I'll play Pokemon Go.
Or play Pokemon Go. That's right. Because this is the absolute marker of how far our society has fallen.
To the person who asked me earlier, do I ever get scared?
Absolutely.
It's when I see shit like this. It's when I wonder.
Pokemon Go.
When I
terrifies
look
me.
at the hundreds and the thousands of people who are walking off cliffs, who are stopping on highways and getting out of their cars and causing traffic
Because
problems.
of a video game.
It's people who have arrest warrants out for them and walk into a police
Follow a Pokemon into a police station and get arrested.
It's when I see shit like that,
not.
that's when I get scared. That's when I go, why?
Idiocracy.
Why? Idiocracy is a documentary.
The movie Idiocracy.
Oh, if you haven't seen it, it's a documentary.
Yeah. Go watch the movie Idiocracy. It's a terrible, terrible movie. I'll warn you right now. But it's a documentary. It was made to be a ridiculous, ridiculous B-movie comedy. That's how they've portrayed it to be. But in actual fact, it's a documentary.
So that's when I get scared.
Yeah.
Because that's when the movie Ants, the little kids animation movie Ants, is
awesome
our movie. It's our story. We outnumber them so many to one. It's not funny. And all we have to do is stand up together. And yet, you can get more people involved in a fucking video game
Pokemon
chasing
app.
creatures that do not exist on their mobile phone than you can to stand up together.
Or if you're in Europe,
That's
you know, have a
what scares
fight over
me.
over a football game. We're going to have a riot over who won the fucking European Cup, fucking whatever bullshit. Sure, no problem.
That's when I want to dig a hole.
Yeah,
And just build a tree house at the middle of nowhere and talk to no one. That's what I want to do.
We have a lot of tree houses that we want to build out in the middle of nowhere. Don't worry. That is actually a natural part of understanding.
Okay, where else? With pen and paper handy, please, because there's a couple of things just off the top that you could go and have a look at. Now, I've been online doing this stuff since 2009, and I started off with interviews, and there's a couple of interviews on my website that I think are worth, only a couple, that I think are probably worth having a look at. One would be one with a guy called Franco Collins. Now,
you'll post all the links to the specific ones?
He gives a nice, succinct, reasonably accurate history of how kind of the corporate, government, financial, Vatican establishment all came about. I'm not then suggesting you go and check out his website and delve down into his work. I'm not.
No.
Michael Tazarian is another interview on the site, which is a good one. Now, Michael, if you haven't heard of him, he's a guy from Ireland, and he does a lot of work on the sigils, the magic, the symbols, again, he's got a lot of history there. It's worth a look at. And another one is Bruce Lipton, a mainstream biologist, and this is the good news. This is part of the good news, and in how our thoughts create our reality, our thoughts control our biology, all of that.
Yep. What the fuck?
Now, there's a
fucking documentary.
In 2013, when Dee and I came together and met, there was a whole group of people who came together at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And two of them were a father and son team called Scott and Ken Bartle. Now, they made a couple of little documentaries. One is called What the FUQ, What the Fuck. Now, it's Australian and it's based on Australia, but you can apply it
across
anywhere,
the board.
Right? It demonstrates a lot of good things about the corporatization. It's well done. It's very interesting. There's another one that they did called Bankruptcy. You can find them both on YouTube. So What the FUQ and Bankruptcy.
Yep.
Check out David Icke.
It's a big rabbit hole, and unfortunately it kind of opens a lot of shit that I certainly don't fucking agree with by any way, shape, or form. But
it's the bigger picture of the Matrix and potentially who's behind it, and
potentially
when you might go, oh my God, I can't go that far, and that's fine. But there's a lot of truth in terms of the way he has put together the history. David Icke, is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
David Icke.
John Lamb Lash is another one.
John Lamb Lash. There is a 2-part interview that I did with him. Part 1 is him going through the whole history. He studied the Gnostic text, and he has put together what he believes is the story that the Gnostics were telling, which is the story of Sophia, this planet, how we came into being, and how what he calls the archons came into being. Now, why I say David Icke is simply because of the research he's done in terms of the background.
The background.
Right? You don't have to go with his premise of who's behind it all.
And who's a reptile.
But
or not.
You might.
I
think there's stuff in there.
I'm not a huge David Icke fan, but he has brought forward some really valid pieces that have been pretty foundational to a lot of people understanding stuff.
He's working a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Mark Passio.
Mark Passio, yes.
Brilliant. Yes. Mark, Passio. Passio. is another good one. Again, you could spend the next 6 months doing nothing but any of these people, 24/7. There's a book out there called How I Clobbered Every Bureaucratic something or other. Can't remember what it's called, but it's by a woman called Mary Elizabeth Croft. This is for those who want to look at the mortgage fraud and the straw man stuff and banking and all of that. Brilliant. For those of you with a mind for it, there is a website called IamSomeDude.com. IamSomeDude.com. This is for those, and Boris's website. Now, this is for those who
really want to get deep.
You need to have a fundamental understanding of
Law
to start with, and trusts, because it's all based on trust law. All right. Who else did they say?
There's going by the list. The chat room's just going.
No one that we're putting forward, we believe, has the whole picture.
No.
Or the complete picture, the whole truth, or any of that stuff.
Nope.
There are pieces in there. And a lot of them are a good stepping stone. A lot of them...
No.
No.
Sorry, Randy. No.
Not going there.
No. Personal experience? No. Sorry.
If you want to question World War II, there is a series called The Greatest Story Never Told.
It is 6 hours. 7 hours?
Something like that.
Okay. It is well worth the 6 or 7 hours that the video is. The Greatest Story Never Told is about Hitler. And when we talk about everything that you think you know about World War II, you were told about World War II was wrong, you need to watch this video. The proof is hardcore. Wait, you chat.
God, what was I going to say then? What were you just saying? What was she just saying? Greatest Story Never Told. Oh, yeah, there's also another one about World War II, which is also really good, and it's horrifying to watch, but can't think what it's called. Hopefully it'll come back to me. There was a couple of recommendations there. Jay Widener. Okay. If you want to look into the moon landings, NASA, the Apollo missions, all of that. Jay Widener, which is JayWeidner, did a great doco in regards to the Apollo missions and Kubrick. There's also a book on my website. There's a download section on my website where you can go and get a book called Penetration by a guy called Ingo Swann. That goes back to the early days of remote viewing. Yes, that does exist too. Yes, it is a military operation.
Yes. Project Looking Glass.
Project Looking Glass, yeah.
Project Looking Glass.
Project Yellow Book.
Yep. These are all...
I'm just referring to the moon specifically, if they want to go down that road. David Icke talks about the moon. This book, Penetration, is a brilliant one on the moon, and the Jay Widener doco on Kubrick.
Yep.
Would be where I go for moon information.
Just threw the book away. It's like, oh, fuck, where do we go from here?
Jay Widener, for those who don't know, is the name I was trying to think of the other day when I was trying to tell you who's behind Gaiam TV.
Okay. There you go. I'm not familiar with the name. I'm not familiar at all with the name.
Hellstorm. Hellstorm is the other... Yes, thank you, Sarah. The other doco about World War II. So between Hellstorm and The Greatest Story Never Told, Hellstorm is horrific, heart-wrenching.
Yep.
To watch. But it will make you question everything you were ever told about World War II.
Okay, so let's talk about history for a little bit.
Oh, because, yeah, the New Earth Channel. But before we do,
okay.
Firstly, I need a bathroom break.
Oh, your turn.
My turn. And I want more coffee. So
there is some in the carafe, and I will always accept coffee. We know that. I only have about a quarter cup. Not enough.
Just talk amongst yourselves. Don't say anything exciting or important while I'm gone, because I don't want to miss it.
Right. So I'll go back to like my little foretaste. I'm just going to take over the whole screen. So we talked about the financial stuff, and while people do not need, like we keep saying, you don't need to go into massive amounts of deep research, but there's certain, let's call it nexus points in history, that it is kind of foundational to understand, because those points have such a radical effect on everything that comes after. So 9/11, September 11th, 2001. The fact that it was an inside job perpetrated on purpose, deliberately, by the Bush government with the aid of the Israelis and the Saudis is 100% fact. This is so foundational to understanding everything that's come along since then. It's foundational to understanding the fact of why they invaded the Middle East. Now, for a lot of people who are somewhat awake, to the point of they understand that 9/11 was an inside job, et cetera, the misconception is the fact that the U.S. wanted to go into the Middle East, i.e. Afghanistan, Iraq, etc., for oil. And that has been a very deliberate meme, a very deliberate piece of disinformation that has been pushed out through alternative media to distract people. So a lot of people, they understand 9/11 was an inside job and they believe that it was for oil. Not true. Oil was just a secondary little, that was kind of like the party gift that you get when you go into a place and the party, they give you a little gift as you walk into the party. That's all. Understanding that the central banks of these countries were solely owned by their countries, that they were the only holdout banks, central banks in the world. Now you're getting closer to the real reason of why they went into these countries. Afghanistan is heroin. All the heroin in Afghanistan is run by the US military and by the CIA. 100% provable. The information is right out there for you to find. The CIA and the Pentagon uses the sale of heroin to fund all their black projects. This isn't new. That's what the Vietnamese War, part of the Vietnamese War, was the heroin trade. We've all seen, what's the movie? Oh, come on, help me. Air America. Was that with, guys, help me? Air America, was that the one with Mel Gibson, I believe? Oh, I'm trying to scroll down to, I'm using Lisa's computer. It's very, very hard. So Air America, that's pretty much documentary. It was made to be, look like Hollywood stuff. When you realize that each and every one of these wars were perpetuated for much bigger reasons, when you realize things, for example, the invasion of Libya and the assassination of Gaddafi was done, thanks, sweetheart, deliberately. It had nothing to do with Gaddafi being a dictator. Nothing to do with Gaddafi being a dictator at all. Everything you think you know about Gaddafi is a lie that was perpetrated by the media. These people left him. What Gaddafi was doing and what he was about to launch was a fully gold, yes, we have to get into that too. Gaddafi was about to launch a fully gold-backed, asset-backed currency into Africa. And when he launched that fully gold-backed currency into Africa, it would have crushed the American dollar. It would have crushed the euro. It would have crushed every fiat currency in the world, would have instantaneously been worth nothing.
All those central banks that are privately owned, where you go, bye-bye.
They would have all gone bye-bye. And that is why they went in and killed Muammar Gaddafi. Nothing to do with, anything to do with him being a dictator. A book that you need to watch, and there's actually a series of videos, and it's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman, is totally factual. This is not a fictional piece at all. Confessions of an Economic Hitman is a story of a guy who was an economic hitman. He was hired by agencies within the U.S. government to go in and take down governments.
First they're sent in to try and buy them out, co-opt them. If they don't agree,
they get destroyed.
They get assassinated. Mm-hmm. They get taken down. There's a coup.
There's a coup. Iran, the current Iranian government, everything that has happened with Iran that you are told by the media is, it was all done by the CIA. The CIA overthrew the Iranian government. It's public knowledge. The files are public now. Okay? These are pieces of fact, not conspiracy. They are absolute fact, and you can find the facts all over the place. All you have to do is go look, which is why they keep the populations dumbed down, drugged up with fluoride, with vaccines, with antidepressants like Prozac, etc., which is why they continuously perpetuate TV reality stuff to suck people in so that people just don't care about what's actually going on, and they don't ask the questions, and they're too fucking lazy to go look for the answers. And I'm sorry, blatant as it is, it's the truth.
Randy just mentioned the hidden hand. If you go to my website, again, under that download section, you'll see the hidden hand. You can just download the whole thing.
Yep.
Makes for interesting reading.
Yeah.
So
I want to go into the history stuff, because this is
okay.
What we've described to you right now is kind of only level 1.
Yeah.
Chemtrails, vaccines, government coups, all of that stuff is false flag. That's kind of only level 1. When you go into level 2, is when you start looking at history and when you start pulling the threads.
Okay, I just wanted to ask the question. While we were on World War II, it was once you were here, so February, March, that we did all those shows around World War II and Hitler?
I think we started just before I got here. I think we started maybe just touching on it a little bit.
So if you're interested in that subject, we actually did do
several,
3 or 4 shows at least where we touched on World War II, we touched on Hitler, we touched on all the stuff.
Probably in March.
We had come across in regards to all of this. We went down that rabbit hole pretty intensively.
And we did it publicly with all of you.
So if that tickles your fancy, blows your hair back, whatever,
blows your hair back.
Go in. You can have a look at those shows.
Yep.
Because I can't even. I've probably forgotten more than what we learned, to directly reference back then.
The internet connection is unstable.
There was one show that we didn't publish. Yes, you're right. We didn't publish the archive because we went way out there. But the rest of them we did.
And there was a reason why we didn't publish it at the time. We could actually publish that now. I wouldn't fucking care.
I don't even know where it is. I don't even know if I still got it.
Oh!
I'd have to have a look.
Because your computer.
I don't know. I mean, I've probably still got the original.
Somewhere on a drive?
Somewhere.
There was a very specific reason why we didn't publicize that one show at that time, which we're not going to get into the details of, because now we just don't fucking care. Okay, history. This was a big rabbit hole, and this is a rabbit hole we went down that we took everyone here on the One People Show with us, and that's just the one that's this last 4 or 5 months. When we say that everything they've ever told us is a lie, we actually mean everything. Our history,
in all capitals, underlined a couple of times with
bold,
exclamation marks.
Neon red. everything they've told us. Everything that we know of history as history is so completely open to question. We've had multiple shows where we've gone through this rabbit hole and we've discussed it now. And we've talked about, there's the one book that I actually have on my computer right now. The foreword of the book is written by Sir Isaac Newton. And it is a historian.
And is it Anatole? No.
No. That's the British guy. No. It was the British guy. And
isn't Anatoly Fomenko one of these guys? Or is that a different name?
That's a different guy. That's a different guy.
That name
that's the Russian guy. And that's from the woman who did that we're going to talk about. That's that website.
Yeah, but this is the same. Yeah, so he is the guy with the same on this subject matter, right?
Yeah. He's also got stuff on the subject. But this one book I'm talking about, actually, I kind of joke because I've read about maybe the first 150 pages of this book and my brain exploded. It was written for Queen Elizabeth I, and it's a summation of history to that point. And if you've ever watched the show The Big Bang Theory, my favorite character on The Big Bang Theory is Sheldon. And this book is written as if Sheldon wrote it. There is no preamble. There is no niceties. It is, here's the facts. Bang, 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 bang. And it's hundreds of pages long. And this guy obviously was a guy who was a historian who had access to all kinds of royal files and documentation. And he blows up all the history that we've been taught. Blows up.
There are many characters throughout history who look like they actually were one and the same person. That they've just retold their story, re-given them a new name, a new place, and told the same story. Time and time again. In order to create and insert hundreds of year periods at a time. Insert
into our history, our own history, hundreds, if not thousands of years of history. There is a shitload of documents, a shitload of books. That the Russians, there's been a pile of Russians from the late 1800s forward who have been literally going, there's 300 years of Russian history that has just been randomly put into the history books. Basically, the entire Dark Ages, we are called the Dark Ages, did not exist. Didn't exist. There's 1,000 years and one fell swoop that was inserted into our world timeline, history timeline, that is completely fake. Nothing of it existed.
What's the name of this book that you're referring to?
Because I'll have to find it. Guys, hold on.
Anatoly Fomenko is one of the guys out of Russia who has written 7 books on the subject. I think the first 4 are you can get them in English. You can get them as PDFs.
I've got the PDF of Anatoly Fomenko. I've got that one as well.
There is also a YouTube channel called New Earth, one word, by a woman whose name escapes me right now. She's done a lot of research. She's been studying Anatoly Fomenko and others, and she's put a lot of it together. It's Sylvia something. It's not easy to listen to because she does have an incredibly strong Eastern European accent.
And she speaks very quietly. She's got a very, very soft voice. I suggest if you're going to listen to her videos, get a headset. It'll make it much easier. But again, this is a woman who doesn't just put out, this is what it is. Everything that she talks about, it's like, this is what I found. Here's the facts, 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 here's the facts. All of her videos.
Long series.
Shitload of videos. And
it is fascinating. There'll be links when we post the archive. We'll post as many links as we can find. So,
I'm trying to find it, guys. I'm really sorry. I've just recently switched hard drives over as well, and a lot of my stuff is kind of scattered now. Maybe my RTS files.
So, yes, they've been destroying artifacts, especially in the Middle East, in order to wipe out the evidence of this.
Yep.
Our true history of the cycles of time.
Yep.
The stories of Atlantis, for example, may well be hundreds of years old, not thousands. The last 2,000 years, based on our current calendar, may well only be 1,000 years long, in fact, if not less. Because not only did they just insert 1,000 years just bang, it looks like they may have inserted 100 here and 100 there as well. The past 5,000 years may only be a couple of thousand total.
Tops. And it's not even, and even that's highly debatable. One of these guys, and I'm sorry guys, I can't find the document on my computer right now. I will find it, and I'll get you guys to help me, because we actually reviewed some of this document that I'm talking about on a roundtable show. It would have probably been back in March or April. Egyptian history. So like 10,000 years of Egyptian history is maybe 500 years long.
And maybe only about 300 years ago.
And maybe only about 300 years ago. The cross-referencing of dates, and the people who've written, this is the important thing, is some of this documentation that is used as proof of completely invalidating all of history as we know it. This isn't coming from just, Joe Blow down the street who decided to write an article. These are documents that are put together by people who were like the royal historian. The one guy in Russia in the 1800s was the head of the university for documents. This guy was like the top guy in Russia who he was put in charge of reviewing all these historical documents. And when he started trying to put them together in a timeline, went, whoa, we have 300 years right here that's just been inserted. I can tell because this document that says is written by this one is the exact same document was written by this one. It's 300 years apart.
Signed by the same person.
Signed by the same person. 300 years apart in history, according to history.
What was I going to say? Shit, it's gone. What's it to do with history? Oh, yeah. I know this is going to be kind of an out there statement, but it may well be.
Are we going there?
Are
we going there? Yeah, we got it. We got it. It's like we said, this is only level 2. Level 3 is the next level.
That we are kind of in some kind of matrixy artificial reality kind of deal, and that there is cycles of time, and that we've been stuck in this process that keeps getting us reset. We haven't been able to evolve out of it, move out of it, whatever. It keeps getting reset. This latest reset could have happened in the late 1700s.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. And that everything we are told that happened before that was literally a bunch of guys sitting around a table and created the whole thing and wrote it all up then. And that means all your religions.
All your religions. All
our history.
Your religions.
Everything. And all created at the same time.
By the same people.
By the same people. So you create the Christian religion, and then you go, oh, hang on, we need a backstory for that. And there's the Old Testament. And it was actually possibly even written after the new one. That's how deep this illusion goes. And I know that I know that can be a complete mind fuck. I do. And I apologize. But it's where it'll lead you if you follow any of these rabbit holes. I'm just going to read some of these. You are describing from a personal reference point. Oh, that wasn't to us.
That was to Jack.
Yeah, staying below the radar is no longer the appropriate position to occupy. It does feel like that, like we said earlier when we the opening of the show, that once you know, you can't unknow. Once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep. And if it wasn't 9/11 that got you, it might have been losing your house. It might have been losing a healthy child to a vaccine. It might have been, who knows what it was that was your particular little wake-up call. It might have been the Mandela effect. It might have been the changes in your Bible. I don't think that no one will be left behind, to be honest with you. Something is going to happen that is going to trigger an awakening in each and every one of us. And there is no hiding anymore. And it's not something to run away from. It's not something to be frightened of, because we can't change it if we don't know it's fucked. We cannot create what we want unless we can see the illusion.
No.
And it's not, we've been scared. We've been concerned. We've been angry. We've
raged
been,
out.
we've been all those things. And yet here we sit with a great deal of hope.
Mm-hmm.
And not false hope or wishful thinking, but a knowing that all of this is leading to something. And it's leading to something positive. However, I do believe that things will seemingly get worse before they get better. We are going through a healing crisis, is one way to look at it. You know, when you go through, if you are very, very sick and you start to heal, you often feel worse before you feel better.
Yep.
And we are individually and collectively, and the planet is going through a healing crisis, and everything looks like it's getting worse. But it's not really, in my opinion. It's just that it's all now being seen.
It's all being seen. And this is something that is
It's not like
really
pedophilia,
important.
for example, is
Just
new.
appeared.
It's not new. It's been going on forever.
Nope.
But it's
The
being
corruption in
completely
governments.
transparent and revealed now.
Corruption of the bankers. No, this isn't new. It hasn't gotten any worse. Much as we do rant about it regularly. Okay, pardon me.
Oh, wow.
Lisa's just going to choke to death. It's not gotten new. It's not new. It has become transparent. And this is something that we've joked about, because we talk about creating the reality we want to see. The one thing that we have called for on this show continuously is, give us transparency. We want to see it. Show us. Give us the transparency we want. And right now, we're getting so much transparency that it is shocking to a lot of people. But it's what we've asked for. We want the transparency, because that's how we make decisions. This is how we know and understand and move forward, is being able to see things in transparency. But the other thing I want to say, when I talked about you can't force someone to wake up if they're not ready, what Lisa said is very true. Once you are awake, you're awake, and you can't unwake up. The same thing goes even for the people you talk to. When you speak to people and you tell them about some of the stuff that you're researching, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they cannot unhear what they've heard. They may deny it. They may call you crazy. They may walk out of your life, but they can't unhear it. And one of the things that I've called us, all of the people here, is we're seed planters. Because that seed is there. Every time you talk to someone, you give them a piece of information, you plant a seed. And that seed may lie dormant for years. But sooner or later, something is going to trigger that seed. And that seed will grow. And from that, then that person cannot unhear all that information, no matter what they may want to try and forget about it.
And you may know that for yourself, actually. You may have a friend that you thought was crazy a few years ago, or a few months ago, days ago, that you know you can now turn to and go, hang on, remember that thing you were telling me about?
that was my wake up. I mean, there were friends of mine that I had who told me pieces, even while I was through my own process of going through and discovering stuff, who told me stuff that was what I thought so ridiculously outlandish. I'm like, oh my God, what Kool-Aid have you been drinking? Because seriously. That they've been absolutely dead on the money. And you've been able to turn around later on and go, okay, can we talk about that again? Even if it was years later, 2 years later, 3 years later, go, remember that conversation we had when you talked about fucking aliens and fucking controlling our government? Yeah, let's talk about that again, because seriously.
Now, is there an area we haven't touched on yet?
There was something that came up just now, and now I've forgotten it because I went off on some
we got lots of leaks and articles and things to include in them.
Questions, anyone? Guys, throw it to the chat room here. Guys out there, what have we... Is there something we think we should maybe tie into this?
Jeff, do you want to throw out a bunch of movies that you think are a good place to start too?
Ooh, that's... How about your guys' template that you've learned over the years from data sources? Like, we're here to do the work for you.
Say that again?
You know your template that you've kind of worked out over the years? Data sources that say, don't do anything. We'll do it for you.
Savior meme.
All the savior meme?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
There's a savior meme, and there's also data sources that are, I need help because I'm living on a shoestring, but I have access to data that you don't, so help me. That's a whole little entrapment itself. Oh, there was another one. What's the other one? Data for sale. So points of people that are charging for data, that's kind of a red flag. So it all boils down to data points are just for you to glean insights and ideas. Don't make them gurus. And know that, whatever percentage, 80% is probably truth, but look for the 10%, 20% lie that's going to screw you up.
Yep.
So,
whether the savior, okay, in the years that I've been doing this, there has been a string of saviors.
Oh, we just discussed them yesterday again, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Now, it could be individuals, human beings who believe they have got the answer, the template, the technology to free you from the system, to claim your straw man, to get hold of your collateral account, to stuff like that.
Save you in an ascension chamber to...
Well, that's a different set.
I don't know, seriously.
None of those have ever gone anywhere. Right? To be honest.
Reclaim your value.
There's been no one that we have found, and if they have, they've been very quiet about it and they've disappeared, that has the whole answer.
No.
Right? And these people have charged extraordinary amounts of money to lead people into trouble. Right?
Or at least to a dead end.
At least to a dead end, yeah. Then you've got your alien saviors. So you've got
your ascended ass masters and your Agarthans and your galactic federations, your Pleiadians, and they're all coming to save you.
You don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do anything. You just have to sit on your ass and drink some more fluoridated water and wait for someone to come along and rescue you.
Please don't. And we could name a lot of names.
Blue avians.
And I may actually throw a couple out there. Sheldon Neidl No. If you come across that name, just walk away. Just walk away.
But that's part of the part of the MK Ultra. That's part of the psyops that have been played out. That's part and parcel with the New Age meme.
If anybody wants to put
channeled messages,
an ascension chamber, or use any kind of technology
to ascend you to the next
to raise
level,
your vibration, and go, for fuck's sake, no.
Yeah.
Right. Now you can take that or leave it. Whatever. Do whatever you want to do, but that's just my 2 cents worth.
Oh, I want to add one little thing on that, just about the whole channeled messages thing.
Oh,
this does not mean that we throw out the baby with the bathwater, i.e., someone says, here's a channeled message, and we go, I'm not even going to watch it, read it, listen to it, because it's just channeled messages. No, because there is legitimate channeled messages, whether people are channeling their higher self, a higher consciousness, a future self, another fractal of themselves. We have seen, and his history shows, in some of the stuff that we've seen come out eons ago, that some of this stuff is very accurate. Whether for the moment or for the now, there's a question. But a lot of the channeled messages that are on the internet are literally done through mind control techniques and frequency, and literally putting those voices in people's heads. And then the people repeat, oh, this is what the Galactic Federation told me.
Okay. If you still read Montague Keen, no. Actually, no, that wasn't Montague Keen. Okay, I'm going to just throw some names out there of people that I would avoid. Or read with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying everything they put out is bullshit, but take it with a really healthy dose of salt. Blue Avians and Corey Good. Yes. And Wilcock.
Oh, please.
Who else? Sheldon Idle have already mentioned.
Sheldon Idle. The Ashtar gang. All the Ashtar gang.
Ashtar commit.
Your blue sphere, blue aliens, blue avians.
David, not David, I've already said him.
Fulford?
Keenan.
Oh, Keenan. Oh, guys, please don't go down the Keenan road. We will come across some of these people in your research.
If you start doing research, these are names that will pop up.
They will come up. Yeah, don't go down the Keenan road. Drake. I know both of those guys personally.
Again, Fulford puts out pieces.
Okay, I just want to
wrapped up in a lot of bullshit.
Okay, I want to put this out here because this is really important for people to also understand. So, for example, I will read Fulford. When someone sends a report to me and they will give it to me and say, hey, you should check this one out, or other known disinformation, source or fail reports, which we know are CIA disinformation. But you have to understand that in order to keep the public coming back for more, they have to give you some facts. They have to give you some truths, because if it's all 100% bullshit, no one will believe them. So it's a very clever interweaving of fact, truth, half-truths, and full-on bullshit lies. Therein comes the task of unraveling it and figuring out what are the pieces. Okay? So, Social Fail is a really, really good one to use as an example. We know Social Fail is a CIA disinformation campaign. Okay? But there's been some very, very incredibly important pieces of intel that have been given out by that disinformation agency that have been fully factual. So you discern. Fulford gives out some pieces that are fully factual because he is fed this information by his higher-ups. The truth is discerning the fact from the fiction. Now, the other piece of this that I think is really important...
You have to highly tune your bullshit radar.
And sometimes you're going to go down the wrong road, and sometimes you're going to believe shit that's not...
Simon Parks is again...
Aye.
Salt. Tolek. Interviewed him a few times. we used to talk regularly offline as well. Salt. Alex Collier. Salt. Alex Collier, I believe, is an absolutely wonderful, genuine human being. Mm-hmm. Believes every word that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
That he believes, that he truly believes, is what he's saying is the truth. I don't doubt that.
This goes into the piece, though, that when they, and I always call it the quintessential they, when they need to spread false information, disinformation, or distract people from things, they need very convincing frontmen to do the work for them. And the vast majority of the time, these frontmen do not know that they're passing on information. The vast majority of the time, these frontmen are genuine, earnest truth seekers who have a passion, which is why people follow them, because they get the fact that what these guys are talking about is coming from their hearts. Unfortunately, sometimes these guys are being fed bullshit themselves, and they don't realize it. Occupy Wall Street, the number one example. The guy who began the Occupy Wall Street, the entire thing was an incredible man, an incredible young man with dreams and ideas, and he was passionate, and his heart came from the absolute best place imaginable. But Occupy Wall Street was started by Wall Street, by the bankers, deliberately to try and incite riots so they could instill martial law. Now, luckily, the co-opted movement was co-opted back to the people, and they were never able to twist Occupy Wall Street into that agenda they wanted, a violent revolution to give them the powers to go in and instill martial law. It never happened. But it began as a disinformation campaign, deliberately set up by the bankers on Wall Street. This is fact.
And the guy who she's referring to that kicked it all off,
yep,
didn't realize himself that he was being backed and supported by Wall Street itself.
He had no
idea. He eventually figured it out.
And when he found out, it just about ruined him. Emotionally destroyed him as a person, because he realized how he had been used. This is a template that they use over and over again. And I'm going to actually go in, and I will with this, remind me, I will post the template articles that I wrote of how to pick out the templates and how to see the templates, and they just keep playing the same templates over and over and over again.
Now, we've seen a lot of solutions, so-called solutions, present themselves over the years. You know, New Earth Nation,
yep.
Thrive Movement.
Yep. OPPT.
OPPT.
God knows we were there.
Yeah, big time. And eventually it all sort of comes out in the wash that they are being, or have been, or were from the very beginning, co-opted.
Mm-hmm.
There are still many questions.
A lot of questions.
About all three of those.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this isn't designed to confuse you, although it probably is. It's designed to just give you a pre-warning, perhaps, that no matter which rabbit hole you go down, or whose you research, or what information you're presented
disinformation.
With, it's there. And it's up to you to trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust your gut, and discern the truth from the fiction. And no one can tell you what that is. We can't tell you what that is. We wouldn't tell you what that is, because you and I can both read the same material, and I'll feel that bit's true and that bit's bullshit, and you might feel a different bit is true and a different bit is bullshit. And I'm not going to argue with you, because that piece of information may be pertinent to you right now to lead you to the next thing that you need to look at. And
we all have our own perspective.
Yeah.
We all bring a very unique perspective to the table.
Oh, The Art of War, brilliant book.
Oh yeah, The Art of War. Yeah, exactly. That's another brilliant book. So, perspectives, and the perspectives we bring to the table.
Beware of anybody who wants to tell you that they're the only ones that you should listen to and trust.
Yeah. The gurus, anyone who sets themselves up as a guru. So we don't have any answers. We have a what if show. We ask a lot of fucking questions, but we don't actually have any answers. Because every time we think we have an answer, one of us, the other one comes up with something else and goes, "Ah, smack! Oh, wait, oh, that was wrong. Keep looking." Here's the other thing, too. It's the whole don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You may not, how can I say this? We all have pieces that we bring to the table. Every single person have got little pieces of this puzzle that they bring to the table. And you may not agree with them on everything, but that doesn't mean that the little pieces aren't there. This is why we've talked about it and saying even the people who we've had, like David Wilcox and the Thrive movement and Fulford and even Keenan, these people woke up a fuckload of people. There's a shitload of people who woke up because of the information these guys presented, and then it was their choice. Alex Jones, perfect example. It's your choice then. Are you going to stay in rage mode?
Are you going to stay in Alex Jones land?
Are you going to stay in Alex Jones land? Or are you going to move beyond it and start doing your own research and moving out of that rage spiral? Each one of these people has brought incredibly important points to the table and has done an incredible job of waking people up. Even Sasha Stone. Even people who, Heather Antucci Giraffe, they've brought forward some incredibly valid and important pieces of information. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And ourselves, we have friends, awesome people who we talk to all the time. And we don't, hell, even Lisa and I don't see eye to eye on shit all the time. All the time. Well, last night we were at about the African Union yesterday. We were going on. I went on for about almost 2 hours. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of shit. That doesn't mean that we're not best friends. I may not see eye to eye with our awesome Jeff Gates. I don't see eye to eye with Lily Earthling. I don't see eye to eye with a whole lot of different people. We're still friends, and we share our information, and we each have our own perspective that we bring to the table. And there are pieces that everyone has, these valid pieces. But if you can't remain open to receiving them or hearing them, then perhaps you're losing pieces.
I mean, just because these pieces come together and they form a picture that you may not like.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to happen to a lot of people as you go down these rabbit holes. You're going to find pictures that
you don't reject the pieces just the same. I've looked at stuff that I just did not want to look at and came to conclusions I did not want to come to. But only being open to doing that was I then able to go through that and see something more, something bigger, something deeper, something more hopeful perhaps. But sometimes the doorway to that is kind of narrow and scary.
And scary and uncomfortable. And maybe it forces you to look at a piece of your own past and a piece of your own life, things that you've done, said, acted on, that you don't want to face. But only you can go past it. And I've gone through a lot of those. There's shit that I've had to face from my own past that has tortured me ever since. Literally, torture that I go through that I can't change. It's from my past. It's decisions that I made that I can't unmake. But it doesn't change the validity of the information that I've come across to prove that I fucked out in the past.
But it's only we all make the best choices we can at the time.
At the time.
Based on what we know.
You can only make the best choices with the information you have in that moment and move forward. but you have to move forward. And sometimes the only way you can move forward is to look at those pieces, no matter how uncomfortable they are. When it comes to religion, when it comes to political views, when it comes to things like vaccines and circumcision and your own children's and decisions that you made for your children, these are major things, but it doesn't make them go away. You just have to look at them. And if you can move past them, you can move past and you can go forward.
So I want to leave this on a more hopeful note.
Sorry, I don't mean to be a downer. I'm just saying.
Well, okay, we've thrown a lot of things out there in terms of places to look and references and information sources and things like that.
Global warming is a myth.
Global warming is a myth. But where are we right now and where are we going? This is the big question of the moment, but for everybody.
That's what this show's about.
So we have one end of the spectrum. We are going through an ascension process.
Did you actually use that word?
Yeah, I did, because that's the word that's out there. Or it's a raising of the vibration. It's the end of a cycle. It's an upgrade. It's these are all the words that get thrown around.
A new evolution of humankind.
But how do we get there?
And what is there look
and
like?
what are the agendas that are playing out? So once you get to a point where you understand this, there is a very small group of individuals who are in control of the whole shebang.
Who may or may not be human.
Who may or may not be human.
Or even of this dimensional level.
And the New World Order is, in fact, a game plan. And the end result is Prison Planet. That's one goal. Then you've got the other goal, which is the other
game plan. Their game plan.
Supposition.
Yeah.
That no, this is all coming to an end, and we are breaking free of all of this.
Yeah.
There are a number of hypothetical situations as to how the New World Order will eventuate. Will they bring it out through, say, Project Bluebeam and do a fake alien invasion?
Yep. Project Bluebeam, also real.
Yeah. Is there some kind of zombie apocalypse planned? And trust me, it is on the game. It is on the game board, right?
Don't throw it out as a Hollywood thing. It's actually something to be seriously considered.
Will it be just continuing to try and incite civil unrest so that they can
mass uprising
so they can impose martial law and do it that way? Will it be earth changes that are either created or natural that will wipe a bunch of people out? They can start from scratch. There is literally a list of different game plans on how to achieve the New World Order. And I don't think right now they know which one they're going to play.
That's our conclusion at this moment.
They are in the process of testing all of these game plans. Pokemon Go is part of that, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah.
The movies are part of that. The false flags are part of that. It's like, which one are they more likely to go along with?
Which one can they perpetuate? Which one can be... can they further agenda with?
Yeah. Which one can they sell?
Yeah, which
and
one can they sell? Exactly.
They don't know yet which one. So there's a lot of testing. We are literally lab rats in a marketing testing phase. Right?
Or
so a lot of what you see is just that. It's all false flags. It's all just pre-screenings. It's all whatever of trying out different game plans. Which one gets us to our goal? Which one will be the easiest one to get us to our goal? And the flip side is there is such amazing things happening in the world. Really beautiful, positive, good stuff. Individuals are doing amazing things. People are waking up people are taking action.
Yeah.
It's depending on where you want to put your focus. It's all fucked or it's all awesome. I mean, and it's both, because there is some really good stuff going on in the world.
Yep.
And we can't lose sight of that. If you are going to go down any of these rabbit holes and start doing your research, don't lose sight of the fact that there is some beautiful and amazing things going on in the world.
Yes. And amazing people doing amazing shit. Every fucking day. Every fucking day.
They're in a, yeah, remember who you are. Remember what you are. I mean, the sun's moved and now it's kind of blinding every now and then. Don't forget the spiritual side of this. Because that
spiritual does not mean religious.
No. And I do not mean New Age or anything like that either. No. Because it's bigger than all of it. And I actually think it is ultimately the bottom line as to even why this is all as it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is our way out. It is our, what's the word?
Consciousness is everything.
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, consciousness is everything. And even to the point of what we talked about, of this world could very well be a holographic construct, could be a simulation within a simulation. It's still all about consciousness. We are conscious within the simulation, and what we do with that consciousness, how we direct it, what we create with it, is, I think, one of the biggest pieces to be aware of. That we consciously create is without a doubt.
We are the ones we've been waiting for is a famous quote. And I believe it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
We are the ones who, whether we agreed to be in this bullshit little game or not, we are the ones who will get ourselves out. And we have everything we need to do that. We just have to remember it.
Yeah. But that also doesn't mean that we're alone.
No.
No, and
I'm open to help from my friends.
Yep.
But a hand up is one thing.
A hand up is not a handout.
Yes. So, if there's any questions, we should do it. I was supposed to be on a different call 15 minutes ago. So.
Guess what? You're late.
I'm late.
My stomach is saying you should have had breakfast before we did this show. Oh, I didn't do it.
Is there anything else that anyone thinks that is kind of pertinent to throw in here before we wrap this up?
Yes, love yourself. Yes, love yourself. Like I said, we all make mistakes. We all did what we could do with the information we had in the moment, and don't beat yourself up over it.
Planet
X. It is what it is. Oh, Dani, we're not even going into Planet X. Oh, please, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Global warming is a myth. Hell, we got no, Planet X, flat Earth.
She speaks for herself in this regard.
No, I mean, like, as in we can't get into those. Like, to even go into those right now is another 2-hour show, is what I'm saying. That's next week. Yeah, we'll fucking talk about it next week. Yeah, even if you are a construct within a holographic reality, you're still real. You're still real, and it still matters.
Oh, someone's got a similar tattoo to me, apparently.
Nice.
This is why we have a Facebook group called Unfuckers.
Unfuckers Unite.
We are unfucking this place up. One day at a time, one conversation at a time, one piece of information at a time. That's what we try and do.
Okay. Oh, so I'll address this because this question comes up on the YouTube channel all the time. The Facebook group is called Unfuckers Unite. You cannot search for it. It is a secret group. Basically, because to keep the group as comfortable as possible, i.e. we talk about everything in this fucking group, it cannot be leaked out. People can't copy and paste out of the group. You can't, it's not going to appear in your news feed, i.e. you liked someone's post and all of a sudden it appears in your feed and all your friends and family can see that you're talking about something that's so wackadoodle that they're going to disown you about. That's why it's a secret group. So if you want to be involved in the Unfuckers group, you can send me a message on Facebook. She's at her friends limit, so she can't actually get any new friends. Dani Arnold McKenney, send me a message. I can add you to the group. I can only, or anyone in the Unfucker, if you know someone who's in the Unfuckers Unite group, they can add you to the group. Yeah. There is a campfire chat for chatting about this show. Is the campfire chat right afterwards? Anyone waiting to see? Campfire chat, is it happening? Come on, guys, respond, please. Anyone? Bueller? Okay, anyways. So,
I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover off, but I don't think so.
Can't. My brain is falling out of my ear already. If you have questions or things you want to discuss in this, drop us a message and let's see if we could. There was a whole pile of shit that came up over the last week that people sent me all kinds of information that I would have discussed on the show if I'd actually thought about it, but I only thought about it just now on the show. So maybe next week we'll have to see. Yeah.
Okay, there will be a campfire chat straight after this. The link is in the chat. Thank you, Teresa. Everything you've ever been told is a lie.
Everything.
That's the bottom line. It's all upside down, it's backwards, it's back to front. This is an inverted reality. This is not who we are not who we've been told we are, and life is not the way we've been told it is, and it doesn't run the way we've been told it runs.
Nope.
That's kind of the bottom line.
And how much you want to research into it is your choice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rabbit holes. We're going to post a shitload of links with this for you to choose to dive down or not dive down as it resonates with
Nicely put. So once you get past all of that and you come to that conclusion, that realization, the only place to go is up.
The only place to go is up. That is so true. Yep. Once you realize that you're at the dead bottom, at the bottom of this pile of bullshit, you can only grow upwards and outwards from there.
Yeah. And I do think we are in for a hell of a ride. And it's up to us to make it fun. And don't be too hard on yourselves. Don't be too hard on those people around you who are maybe not wanting to go there with you just yet.
Mm-hmm. Patience, my friends, patience. Calm and patience as much as we can. We all know I don't excel at either of those, but even I try.
Oh, I know what.
God, hit me. Come on. It's the last second of the show. You can tell us. Go ahead.
Background people.
Oh, right.
Backdrop people.
Fuck. Maybe they should.
If you've heard us make reference to that and you didn't know what we were talking about, because this is the problem that we've had, apparently, is that they've got all these new people, and we just throw out these little terms that we know those of you who listen, join us regularly, know exactly what we're talking about, and then we're losing all this. What the fuck are backdrop people? Yeah. Or what is Gladio? Or what are they talking about?
It's hard for us to remember what we haven't spoken about in the past, or how far back it is that we've spoken about. Sometimes we go on the assumption that everyone understands what we're talking about, and we come to the vast conclusion, yeah, we understand that a lot of people don't know what we're talking about, especially if you've just joined in. Insanity abounds. Backdrop people. Go ahead.
Well, there's even multiple theories on what backdrop people are. But by that, I guess what we mean is there are some people in this world who appear to be real. Humans. Creators. The people who have a soul and
to use a religiously loaded buzzword, have a soul.
Or a spirit, or whatever you want to call it.
Another a higher consciousness.
And then there are those who don't.
They just...
We saw this very clearly in the beginnings of the Mandela effect stuff.
Huh?
There'll be those people who you try to talk to about a Mandela effect change, and like you might ask them, how does this particular verse in the Bible go?
Yeah, tell me the Lord's Prayer.
And they'll tell it to you the way you know it, the way you remember it, and then you go, well, what if I told you it actually says this? And you would see this automaton kind of
freaky
upgrade going on in their brain, and then they would go, oh yeah, that's right. It's like literally the program just got updated. And
you can see it in their eyes. Like literally you can see them glaze out and then come back and totally say the flip of what they originally said. Now, but this is the whole thing, the fluoride stare. Not necessarily the fluoride stare, because there's talking to people on subjects that are so vastly confusing that they just give you the fluoride stare because it's cognitive dissonance. Their brain can't latch onto it. And then there is the look of people who aren't there. And they're just, I'm going to use the video game analogy. If you've ever played an online game, a video game, where you yourself are in the video game, and you're the first person, whether World of Warcraft or Skyrim or whatever. And as you go through the game, you have different levels of people that you see in the game. You have other people who are playing online, who are controlling their avatars in the game. Then you have people who you can interact with that are part of the program in the game. You know, the gatekeeper, and you can go up and you can ask the gatekeeper a question, and he will have a couple of rote responses that come back. But then beyond that, you also have the background people in the game who you can't interact with. They're just, someone riding a horse down the road. They're just a shopkeeper standing there sweeping the doorstep.
They're the extras in the movie.
They're the extras in the movie who have no lines. They're just background. You can't interact with them. So when we talk about background people, when we talk about backdrop people, that's kind of like
villages in Minecraft.
Villages in Minecraft. The villagers in Minecraft. Here is the people who are part of the program that you can kind of somewhat interact with on a certain level. But only on that certain levels. You can only ask them certain questions, and if you try to push them on something else,
if you take them off script,
you just get a blank answer. You get nothing, or you get an answer that has nothing to do with anything to what you've asked.
But if you go down this road of looking into backdrop people, whatever you want to call them,
Dolores Cannon,
there will be a number of different versions of who and what they are.
Yep. People have their own. I'm just giving you my theory. It's just my own personal theory.
No, I mean, like, you'll get those who say that there's something like only 30% of the people on the planet are actually real and humans with a soul. The rest are avatars.
Soulless.
Right? They are clones. They are clones that were made from us, the real ones, when the hospitals have collected our placentas and whatever, they're purely manufactured. There's all kinds of stories. There's all kinds of theories. What this means, and who they are and where they come from. Some of them are completely fantastic. And they have Malcolm Turnbull. Who said that?
Stephen Harper. What? Sorry. Oh. Don't even go there. Don't even go.
But you're not crazy if you feel like you've come across these people. Pod people. Yeah, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Pod people, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, they just use another analogy. Yep.
That,
and vice versa, when you come across people who are real,
you know,
and you have this moment and where you go, like literally, I can talk to you, and oh my God, you actually feel real to me. It's not like talking to a cartoon, or not like talking to an empty automaton. So if you look back on your life, you will probably find
but you know
instances that you will look back at now and go, oh, now I get it.
But having said all of that,
Having said all that,
I actually think that everybody, this is my working hypothesis right now, everybody that's on the planet, including those who we call backdrop people, have the potential to be real.
That's where we disagree.
I think there is a trigger that now maybe it pulls their soul in or connects it, does something. But because there are people I've known before that I've gone, oh, you're so just filler. That I've met years later and gone, oh, you feel real now. There's a connect. I can connect with you now. There's something in your eyes that wasn't there before.
But how much of that is programming? Someone who breaks out of their own programming all of a sudden has an ability to, because that's what religion is, that's what politics is, and that's what education is. Oh, the educational system is also just a plot to mind numb and turn you into an automaton. Sorry, just thought I'd throw that out there. So is that change in a person due to the fact of if they are managed to break through I'm sure that if someone met me 20 years ago, they would have thought that I was one of those mindless automatons too. But when you break through the programming, and then you have people who walk off cliffs while playing Pokemon Go, and there's no help for them. No, there's no help for them. Sorry. That's called the Darwin Awards. But I might just be cynical. And we all know I'm cynical. And I am a bitch. We all know this, so you shouldn't be shocked by this. Some people are too stupid to save. I'm sorry. Just is what it is.
Oh, please, if you've got a child or a spouse, because apparently all the footage I've seen of all these stupid people,
they're all middle-aged people.
They're all men in their 30s and 40s. What? Get a fucking life. Seriously. But this tells me how
pervasive.
This tells me how empty people's lives are.
Yes.
That they can get so invested
in a video game,
a character on their phone
that is completely make-believe.
They will get up out of bed from their partner in the middle of the night to go walking down the shops, to the street, or into a park, or whatever,
to go find
this thing. There has to be such a void in their lives that this thing apparently is filling.
But it also comes into the programming too. Like for the young people, we're talking the whole thing, peer pressure, and people wanting to fit in, and they want to do what all the other kids are doing, and they want to be able to have the conversation with everyone else. And how do you get beyond that? Shh. Holy moly. Yeah, it is concerning. It's absolutely concerning.
If you watch the movie The Kingsman, please watch the movie The Kingsman.
If you have a strong stomach.
Oh, yeah.
There's some, it's very graphic and violent in places, like unbelievably graphic and violent. But.
And then look at this Pokemon Go shit. You know it's possibly not just a Hollywood film.
A little warning. In Unfucker's room, someone dropped in the trailer for a new movie called The Cell, or Cell, and it's got Samuel Jackson and John Cusack in it. The trailer for it is absolutely phenomenal. I watched the movie last night. Don't bother. Everything you needed to know was in the trailer. The movie sucked on the biggest level as to be unbelievable. So, but again, go look at the trailer for the movie Cell. It's called Cell, Cell. Same thing as The Kingsman. Free internet, free phone calls, forever. Yeah, and then look at Pokemon Go.
And Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, again.
Yeah, Congress, that was another movie that looked brilliant in the trailer.
Don't watch it. 2 hours of your life, you'll never get back. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. Apparently, I'm the guinea pig for really, really bad movies, because in the last month, I have watched some movies that were so fucking bad. Yeah.
Finette was told today that the Pokemon game was a great way to keep up with your family. How? Try having a conversation with your family in person.
Well, this is it. We have people who are, people who are actually, people I consider to be
too early to
awake.
Drink.
Distilled water. Okay, you can drink distilled water at any point in time. So
Pokemon shit is just.
People are defending Pokemon Go, but people are going out and they're getting exercise and meeting people. It's such a good thing. How can you deny them? Okay, I did a special report on Pokemon Go on Conspicuous News 5 days ago.
Who's behind it? Who owns it?
Who owns it? This is not fear porn. This is not me giving you conspiracy theories. Everything that I put in that report is 100% factual. Fact. Hard, cold facts. Who owns it? Who started it? Who they're aligned with? Who they're funded by? And if you don't want to look at the fucking facts, not my fault.
You should be following Pokemon off a cliff.
You should be following Pokemon off a cliff. Sorry to be harsh. Like I said, I'm the bitchy one. So,
are we done?
For this moment, yeah, I guess we're done.
Before you drive me to drink?
Before I drive you to drink? I don't drive you to drink every day. Only some days.
That one is.
Yeah, she's just drinking distilled water right now. We have a whole pile of friends who've shown up, and they're all trying to. The kids are like running in circles in the field across the way, and Nick is like shoveling out peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to all the kids because they can't come in because we're still on the show and we're supposed to have ended a half hour ago. Yeah.
Okay. We'll say bye.
We'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
We keep threatening to be on separate screens, but she can't get out of the country at this point.
Next week we will be on separate screens. My family will be leaving this week, 100%. So next week it will be separate screens. It will be a new time. That's right. It won't be the same time. We'll have to change the time because I will be in Europe. And if I'm in Europe, I'm not doing the show at 2 o'clock in the morning. Sorry. So we'll be doing the show an hour too early. Just saying. But all the information will be in the Unfuckers room. Again, send a message on Facebook to me or any of the Unfuckers, and they can add you to the room.
Okay.
That's it,
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye for now.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
No. All the Pokemons.